Have you found yourself in the ugly stage of dreadlocks, feeling discouraged, like you can't even keep going? Maybe you're even considering cutting off your locks. Well, if this describes you, keep watching, because I got some tips that will help you get to your goal. Let's get it. Welcome back to the Atreyu Locs channel. Hello, I'm Atreyu, a semi-freeformer who is dedicated to bringing you the best tips to grow a healthy set of locks. If this is your first time here, make yourself comfortable. I'm glad to have you. So many of you are new to the lock journey and have found yourself in the horrible, ugly stage, aka ugly phase. Maybe you were all excited at first about getting locks, so you got your starter locks and they looked awesome, you were getting tons of compliments, and you were just feeling like suave. Then week 2 hit. Then week 3. Then okay, you guys get the point. Basically, as time continued to pass and the frizz started to rise, you felt yourself starting to succumb to the ugly stage. So now you got these starter locks that are weirdly shaped due to the do-rag or the silk scarf that you've been wearing, most likely a lot shorter than you want because of shrinkage, and hard to distinguish because of all the frizz. I mean, do you have starter locks or do you have a fro? I don't really know anymore. That frizz is real. Congratulations, you're officially in the ugly phase. To be completely honest, I used to be one of those lockers who would completely deny the existence of an ugly phase. In fact, I'm pretty sure I made a video about it at one point. You guys should rummage through my channel and see if you can find it. But I've since realized that while the intent of disregarding or refusing to acknowledge the ugly phase is inherently good, to new lockers, it's still something very real. Personally, the appearance of my locks never bothered me. Now, after looking at them, you might be thinking, bruh, it should have bothered you. But quite honestly, it really never did. I mean, yes, I do remember wanting them longer, but I feel like everybody wants that, no matter the length, if they haven't reached that goal length yet. But I can definitely say that it was not something that bothered me to the point of wanting to cut off my locks. That being said, it doesn't matter that it wasn't my experience, because it is really the experience of so many of you guys out there, so many others. So at this point, I consider myself to have this more mature, more comprehensive definition of the ugly stage of dreadlocks. Basically, I now consider the ugly stage of dreadlocks any point along your lock journey where you feel dissatisfied with the appearance of your locks. Granted, the majority of lockers feel that way earlier in their journey, but really it can happen at any point. And I'm sure there are some of you out there who can attest to that fact. So now that we put that out there, let's get to some tips on how to cope with the ugly stage of dreadlocks. Tip number 1 is that you can wear a do-rag or a silk or satin scarf to cover your locks. Out of sight, out of mind. Now, of course, you're probably thinking, yeah, we already know we do that at night. But I'm saying to not only do it at night, but also in the daytime. So I'm talking about wearing it indoors as well as outdoors when you're out and about, handling your business of the day. You saw my last video, you know that I feel that the do-rag, kind of like locks, is a look in and of itself. You don't need anything else. Tip number 2 is to wear a baseball cap or hat over the aforementioned do-rag that I listed in tip 1. Or if you're like me, you can wear a tam. Now, I have a little funny story. One of my greatest loves is tams, and I always felt, especially earlier in my journey, that when you're able to wear a tam, then you're really like a locker. For me, it wasn't necessarily having like mature, super long locks, right? But it was the ability to fill out a tam with your hair. And yes, I guess they would be a little bit longer if you can fill it out. But my love for tams was so deeply ingrained that I remember earlier in my journey wearing tams, and it would basically just be flat in the back because there wasn't much length to fill it out. So as quiet as it's kept, that was one of my own unspoken personal goals, to be able to fill out a tam. And of course, I can do that now with with this length. But yeah, so that's something else that you can do. You know, if you don't like wearing baseball caps and do-rags, you can always wear a tam. It still is a look in and of itself. Yes, it's flat, but I mean, you can go for that slouchy look. So yeah, that's just an option for you. But hey, if you're enjoying this video, definitely hit the like button, smash the subscribe button if you want to see more Loc content from WA, and be sure to hit the notification bell so that you are notified every single time I upload as soon as I do. Moving on to tip number 3. When you take that do-rag off in the morning, or that silk or satin scarf, be sure to spritz your hair with some rose water or distilled water, or just some moisture to kind of get those locks that are plastered to your scalp and flat and weirdly shaped and not moving at all, moving around, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, just give it a little spritz, a little shake. For me, I would do that, but I always work out in the morning. So I remember way back then when my locks were plastered to my scalp because I had worn the do-rag all night while I was sleeping. Then also exercising in the morning, especially when you're doing plyometrics, all that jump training, you're jumping and bouncing around, that would kind of free my locks from being super glued to my scalp. So yeah, just get some moisture to the locks and that will help them to look better and kind of regain a little bit of their intended shape. Tip number 4 is to follow people who are currently where you are in your loc journey. Not only can you draw inspiration from them, but there's something to be said about being on your own respective journeys, but doing it together. To this day, I still keep in contact and have fond memories of the people that I went through those earlier years with. And chances are, when you're feeling discouraged, they'll be feeling encouraged and will be able to encourage you, and vice versa. Going through something together is always, in my opinion, better than going at it alone. Hence why communities of all types exist. Tip number 5 is to take inspiration from those who have come before you. So yes, you can admire what their locks look like today, at present, and without stirring up too much envy, appreciate what they have and appreciate what you could also have one day. Not their set, but your own set. But if possible, if they have made it available, go back to their beginning and see where they started. To me, that's very encouraging. Not only to see where someone currently is and to see how beautiful their locks are right now, today, right? But to go all the way back to their beginning, like I said, if they've made it available, and to see where they've come from. And you kind of take a mental note, even without consciously thinking about it, that they have endured, right? Of course, their loc journey has not been perfect. Of course, they've had problems. They probably mentioned them to you if they're a loc-tuber, right? But that was where they started, and this is where they currently are. And they made it, basically. They've arrived. This is why I have my 0-month loc updates still on my channel, because I want you guys to have the option of going back and seeing where I started and compare that to where I am now and seeing that, hey, you can really achieve this. Believe me, in that month 0 video, I was where you are right now, wishing, hoping, praying, dreaming of one day having these locks. I didn't know that they were gonna look like this, but I knew that I wanted a set of healthy locks, and now I have it. So the purpose of this video, I guess, is to first say that yes, I am myself starting the loc journey. I got my hair twisted with the comb twist last Saturday, which was August 16th, 2014, and today is Friday, August 22nd, 2014. The reason that I am making this video kind of late is because I wasn't going to do it. Like I said, I had my reservations about, you know, recording videos and putting them up, you know, to showcase another person's life journey. But at the same time, I thought it would be cool to be able to look back on it, you know, and be like, wow, that's where your hair started out. So yeah, so that's why I'm doing it now. Better late than never, right? So, yeah, you know, I don't know what, I don't know what's gonna happen, you know, with my hair. it was pretty, I mean, my hair was decently long before. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of shrinkage. But this, as of right now, this is what my twists look like. So definitely take inspiration, draw inspiration from those who have come before you, and don't only admire where they're currently at, but if you can, take a look back at where they have come from. And that's the true inspiration. So there's no getting around it. The ugly stage is real. Any period of time where you are dissatisfied with your locks can be considered an ugly stage of dreadlocks. Just know that there are ways to cope with it. And if you're in the early part of your journey, try to focus on all the amazing changes that are taking place. To this day, I still firmly believe that the first year of a lock journey is the most exciting. So try to savor and accept it for what it is, because before you know it, it'll be over. If you choose to love, do so unconditionally, because loving with conditions conditions the heart to not really love at all. This is Locs, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.